There are relationships that confuse you, and then there are relationships that slowly make you question your own mind. Not overnight, not with one argument, but little by little, until one evening you're sitting alone, staring at your phone, wondering why saying "I'm sorry" has somehow become easier than explaining what actually hurt you. If you've ever loved someone much older or much younger, you've probably noticed something strange. People around you focus on the age gap, but sometimes the age difference isn't the real danger. It's who hides behind it. Before we go any further, if these quiet conversations about relationships and psychology help you make sense of things you've never been able to explain, consider subscribing. It helps this channel reach people who may need these words at exactly the right moment. Now, imagine meeting someone who seems to have already figured life out. They speak with certainty. They've been through more than you. Or maybe they're younger, full of confidence, energy, and a kind of boldness that makes you feel alive again. At first, the age gap feels exciting, different, special. You tell yourself that everyone else just doesn't understand. Maybe they're right for you because they're different. And honestly, sometimes that's true. Healthy age gap relationships exist. They can be deeply respectful, emotionally balanced, and full of genuine love. But sometimes, the age difference quietly becomes something else. Not the problem itself, just the perfect place for another problem to hide. Because when one person naturally has more life experience, more money, more confidence, or simply knows how relationships work a little better, the balance can shift without either person noticing at first. That's where things become complicated. Not dramatic, just complicated. You might hear yourself thinking, maybe I'm overreacting. I guess they know better. They've experienced more than I have. Those thoughts sound reasonable. That's why they're so easy to believe. And this is where many men become trapped without realizing it. Not because they're weak, actually. Often because they're trying very hard to be understanding. Understanding is a beautiful quality, until someone learns to use it against you. There's a moment I see over and over. It almost never looks dangerous. You're excited to tell her about something. Maybe you got a promotion. Maybe your business finally started growing. Maybe you just want to share a small victory. You begin talking. She smiles. But somehow, by the end of the conversation, you're comforting her. Your happiness quietly disappeared somewhere along the way. It happens so smoothly, you almost miss it. You even feel guilty for bringing up your own success. That feeling deserves your attention. Not because it proves anything, but because emotions usually notice imbalance before our thoughts do. Many people ignore that little discomfort. They explain it away. She's just stressed. She didn't mean it. Everyone has bad days. And sometimes, they're absolutely right. One difficult conversation doesn't define a person. Neither does one selfish moment. Real relationships include misunderstandings. Everyone can become defensive. Everyone can make mistakes. But patterns deserve curiosity, especially when those patterns slowly make you smaller. Have you noticed how some people always seem to become the center of every emotional moment? You're sick, yet somehow you're apologizing because your illness made their day harder. You're disappointed, but now you're comforting them for feeling misunderstood. You're exhausted, yet they're the one asking why you've become distant. It leaves you strangely confused, not because you're unable to think clearly, because your empathy keeps getting redirected. And empathetic men rarely notice that happening until much later. There's another reason this becomes even harder inside an age gap relationship. Respect. You naturally want to respect someone who's lived longer, or you don't want to seem controlling if you're the older partner. So you stay quiet. You doubt yourself. You give one more chance, then another, and another, because walking away feels like admitting you misunderstood everything. But that's not even the part most people struggle with. The hardest part is what slowly starts happening inside your own identity. Because after enough of these moments, you stop asking, why are they treating me this way? You begin asking, what's wrong with me? And that quiet shift changes everything. That question, what's wrong with me? It doesn't usually arrive after one painful argument. It grows quietly, almost politely, one small doubt at a time. You notice yourself replaying conversations in your head while brushing your teeth, while driving, while trying to fall asleep. You remember every word, every pause, every look on her face. You're not trying to prove she was wrong. You're trying to figure out what you missed, because if you can find your mistake, maybe next time things will be different. That hope keeps many people in relationships far longer than they ever expected. Hope isn't foolish. In healthy relationships, hope helps two people grow together. But in an unhealthy dynamic, hope can slowly become a reason to ignore what your own emotions have been trying to tell you. Picture a quiet evening. You tell her something that hurt your feelings, not angrily, not dramatically, just honestly. I felt a little dismissed earlier. She looks surprised, then disappointed, then somehow wounded. Before long, you're no longer talking about what happened. You're explaining why you brought it up. Then you're apologizing for your tone. Then you're reassuring her that she's a good person. Hours later, the original issue has disappeared. The conversation has somehow become about protecting her feelings. If you've lived through something like that, you probably remember the strange exhaustion afterward. Not because you argued, because nothing ever seemed to get resolved. You leave the conversation carrying the same hurt, along with the guilt of causing tension. That combination is incredibly confusing, and confusion has a way of making us doubt ourselves. Now, this doesn't automatically mean someone is narcissistic. People become defensive for many reasons: stress, past experiences, fear of criticism, emotional immaturity. Human beings are complicated. That's important to remember. Labels should never replace careful observation. What matters is the pattern. Does accountability happen eventually? Can both people reflect? Can both people apologize? Can both people make space for each other's emotions? Those questions often reveal much more than any label ever could. There's something else that deserves attention, especially in age gap relationships. Sometimes the older partner genuinely has more experience. That experience can be comforting. It can also become intimidating. Imagine hearing sentences like, "I've been through this before. You'll understand when you're older. I know people better than you do." Occasionally, those words come from care. Experience does bring wisdom. But when they're used again, and again, and again, they can slowly convince you that your own instincts don't count. You stop trusting what you saw, what you felt, what made you uncomfortable. Instead, you borrow someone else's version of reality without realizing it. The younger partner isn't the only one who can experience this. Sometimes it's the older man. He begins believing she's more emotionally aware, more socially connected, more in touch with modern relationships. So when conflict appears, he assumes she's probably seeing something he isn't. Different ages, same uncertainty. That's what makes this dynamic so fascinating. Power doesn't always belong to the older person. Sometimes it belongs to the one who knows how to shape the emotional atmosphere, who decides when affection appears and when it disappears. Have you ever noticed how powerful silence can become? Not peaceful silence, punishing silence. The kind where every unanswered message feels louder than words. You look at your phone. Nothing. An hour passes, then 3, then tomorrow. Your mind begins filling in the blanks. Maybe I pushed too hard. I shouldn't have said anything. I'll just apologize. Not because you're certain you were wrong, because uncertainty is uncomfortable. Many people would rather blame themselves than sit inside unanswered questions. That's what makes emotional inconsistency so powerful. Warm one day, cold the next. Close enough to keep hope alive. Distant enough to keep you chasing reassurance. Again. This doesn't describe every difficult relationship. Some people simply struggle with communication. Some need space before talking. Healthy couples learn each other's rhythms over time. The concern isn't occasional distance. It's when distance becomes a tool instead of a need. And there's one subtle sign that often appears before someone recognizes what's happening. It has nothing to do with arguments, nothing to do with jealousy, nothing to do with age. It begins the moment you realize you've stopped feeling like yourself. But you can't remember exactly when that happened, and once that realization appears, the relationship starts looking very different. It usually happens so quietly that you don't even notice it at first. One day someone asks, "How have you been?" And instead of answering, you pause. Not because you don't know what to say, because you honestly can't remember the last time you checked in with yourself. You've become so focused on reading her moods that your own feelings have faded into the background. It's a strange place to be. You're still laughing sometimes, still going to work, still meeting friends. From the outside, life looks normal. But inside, there's a constant tension, like you're always waiting for something, waiting for the next conversation, waiting for the next misunderstanding, waiting for the next moment when everything feels good again. And that's what makes this kind of relationship so hard to leave. It isn't always painful. If it were, most people would walk away much sooner. Instead, it often swings between closeness and distance. Moments that make you think, maybe things are changing, followed by moments that leave you wondering what happened. That emotional back and forth can be deeply confusing. Not because you're irrational, because human beings naturally hold on to moments of connection, especially after conflict. Imagine this. You spend 2 days feeling ignored. Her messages become short. Her voice sounds different. You try not to overthink it. You tell yourself she's probably busy. Then suddenly, she sends a warm message. Maybe she calls you by the nickname she used when you first started dating. Maybe she says she misses you. Maybe she reaches for your hand the next time you're together. Your whole body relaxes. The anxiety disappears. For a while. It's such a relief that your mind quietly files away the difficult days. You don't want to ruin this good moment by bringing them up, so you don't. Many people do this without realizing it. We naturally move toward relief. There's nothing unusual about that. The question is whether relief becomes the only thing keeping the relationship together, because genuine safety feels different. You don't celebrate basic kindness, you simply expect it. You don't feel surprised when your emotions are respected. You trust that they will be. That's a very different experience. There's another detail that almost nobody notices until much later. Pay attention to what happens after you succeed, not after you fail, after you succeed. Maybe your confidence grows, you make new friends, your career improves, you become healthier. In secure relationships, your growth often brings joy to both of you, even if it also requires adjustment. In less healthy dynamics, your confidence can create unexpected tension, not always openly. Sometimes it's subtle. She jokes about your new habits. She rolls her eyes when other people compliment you. She reminds you of old mistakes just when you're beginning to feel proud of yourself. Each moment seems small, easy to excuse, but together, they can slowly pull you back toward the version of yourself that needed constant approval. Again, this doesn't mean every critical comment has hidden motives. Partners challenge each other sometimes. Healthy love includes honest feedback. The difference is intention. Does the conversation leave you feeling understood or diminished? Does it help you grow or make you afraid to shine? Those questions matter far more than dramatic labels. Now let's look at something even quieter. Arguments often end. Words fade. But your body remembers. You walk into the room and immediately try to read her expression. You notice her tone before she says hello. You adjust your own mood based on hers. If she seems happy, you relax. If she seems irritated, your shoulders tighten before you've spoken a single word. That's not because you're weak. It's because people adapt to emotional environments, especially the ones they care about. The mind is remarkably creative when it's trying to protect a relationship. Sometimes it protects the relationship by sacrificing your peace. And the strange part is, you may even call that sacrifice love, not because you're naive. Because caring deeply often makes us tolerate things we would never accept from someone we didn't love. But eventually, a quiet thought begins to appear. Not every day, just once in a while. It whispers, why do I feel more like I'm managing this relationship than living inside it? That question is uncomfortable because once it's asked, you start noticing things you can no longer unsee. And one of those things may be the most overlooked warning sign of all. The warning sign isn't always what people expect. It isn't shouting. It isn't dramatic jealousy. It isn't someone trying to control every move you make. Sometimes it's much quieter than that. It's the slow feeling that you've become responsible for another adult's emotional weather. You wake up wondering what kind of day she's having, not because you care, that part is natural, but because her mood determines whether your day feels peaceful or tense. If she's happy, you can finally relax. If she's distant, you start searching for reasons. You replay yesterday. You replay last week. You even replay a joke you made that didn't seem important at the time. And before long, you've become a detective in your own relationship, looking for clues, looking for answers, looking for the version of yourself that won't upset her. That's exhausting. And it happens so gradually that many men don't notice until they're already living that way. I once heard someone describe it like this. It's strange. I don't feel like I'm walking on eggshells every day. I just feel like I'm always checking where the eggs are. That stayed with me, because it captures something words often miss. You're not terrified, you're simply alert, always alert. You measure your words, you soften your opinions. You decide some conversations just aren't worth having. Not because you've stopped caring, because you're tired. Tired of explaining, tired of defending your intentions, tired of wondering how a simple conversation became another emotional maze. This can happen in many kinds of relationships. Age gap relationships don't create this pattern, but they can sometimes hide it, especially when one partner is seen as the more experienced one. The younger person may think, they probably understand relationships better than I do. The older person may think, I should know better. Maybe I'm expecting too much. Both end up doubting themselves, and self-doubt is fertile ground for unhealthy dynamics. Now imagine something different. You're sitting together at dinner. You disagree about something small. Maybe it's money. Maybe it's family. Maybe it's how often you spend time together. In a healthy relationship, disagreement doesn't automatically threaten connection. You can both feel uncomfortable, without making each other feel unsafe. You don't have to win. You don't have to surrender. You stay curious. You listen. You both leave the conversation with your dignity intact. That doesn't mean it feels easy. It means respect survives the disagreement. When respect disappears, the relationship slowly changes shape, not all at once, little by little, until one person speaks and the other only reacts. There's another pattern that's easy to overlook. Notice how conflict ends. After an argument, can both of you return to the conversation? Can you say, I understand why that hurt? Can she say, I didn't see it that way, but I want to? Those moments build trust, not perfection. Trust. Without them, conflict doesn't really end. It just gets buried, and buried emotions have a habit of finding new ways to appear, sometimes as resentment, sometimes as distance, sometimes as silence. Here's something I wish more men knew. You don't have to prove someone is a narcissist before deciding a relationship isn't healthy for you. That realization can feel strangely freeing. Too many people stay because they're waiting for certainty, waiting for undeniable evidence, waiting for one dramatic event that finally gives them permission to leave. But relationships rarely work like courtroom cases. Often your decision comes from something much quieter. You notice that you've become less confident, less open, less joyful, less you. No single moment caused it. Yet somehow, over time, you've disappeared from your own life. And that's worth paying attention to. Not because it automatically means the other person intended harm, but because your well-being matters too. There's one final question that many men avoid asking, not because they don't know the answer, because they do. They simply aren't ready to hear themselves say it. It isn't, does she love me? It isn't, can this relationship be saved? It's something much more personal, much more unsettling. Who was I before I started believing that love had to feel this heavy? That question doesn't accuse anyone. It doesn't demand an immediate decision. It simply opens a door. And once that door opens, You may find yourself remembering a version of you that never should have been forgotten. Maybe that's where healing really begins. Not the day you leave, not the day someone apologizes, not even the day everything finally makes sense. It begins the moment you remember that older version of yourself, the one who laughed without checking someone else's mood first, the one who could disagree without feeling guilty, the one who didn't spend hours wondering whether a simple text message sounded wrong. That person isn't gone. He's just been very quiet, sometimes for months, sometimes for years. And silence can make us believe something has disappeared, when it's only been waiting. Imagine you're walking home after work. The streets are familiar. The weather isn't remarkable. Nothing dramatic happens. But for the first time in a long while, you notice something. Your phone hasn't buzzed in an hour. Normally that would make you anxious. You'd check it, then check it again, then invent reasons why she hadn't replied. This time, you keep walking. You notice the trees. You notice the sound of traffic. You notice your own breathing. It's such a small moment that almost anyone else would miss it. But inside, something has shifted. Your attention has returned to your own life. That may not sound important, yet in many cases, it's the beginning of emotional freedom. Not because the relationship has changed, because you have. One misunderstanding about confidence is that it means becoming harder, more distant, less emotional. But real confidence often looks much quieter than that. It says, I can care deeply about you without abandoning myself. That's a difficult balance, especially if you've spent years believing that love means endless sacrifice. Healthy love asks for compromise. It doesn't ask you to erase yourself. There's a difference. And once you feel that difference, you can't unfeel it. If you're in an age gap relationship today, don't let this conversation make you suspicious of every difference in age. That isn't the message. Age can bring patience, perspective, stability, curiosity. Two people from different generations can build something deeply respectful and lasting. The question isn't who's older or who's younger. The better question is, can both of us be fully ourselves here? Can both people speak honestly? Can both apologize? Can both celebrate each other's growth? Can both feel emotionally safe without constantly earning that safety? Those questions matter far more than the number of birthdays between you. Sometimes the strongest act of love isn't holding on. Sometimes it's having an honest conversation you've been avoiding. Sometimes it's setting a boundary that feels uncomfortable at first. Sometimes it's asking for change and listening carefully to what happens next. Not just to the words, to the pattern. Because patterns tell stories. Not perfect stories, not simple stories, but honest ones. And honest patterns deserve your attention. If you've recognized pieces of your own relationship in these moments, don't rush to label anyone. Instead, become curious. Curious about how you feel before seeing them. Curious about how you feel after leaving them. Curious about whether you're growing or shrinking. Those answers often reveal more than any definition ever could, because relationships should challenge us sometimes. They should stretch us. They should invite us to become better partners, but they shouldn't make us strangers to ourselves. There's one image I want to leave you with. Picture two people standing side by side. One is older, one is younger. From a distance, everyone notices the years between them, but the healthiest relationships are never measured by that distance. They're measured by something much harder to see, whether both people can stand there, without one becoming smaller so the other can feel bigger. If that balance is protected, love has room to breathe. If it isn't, even the strongest feelings can slowly become heavy. So the next time you look at your relationship, don't begin by asking whether the age gap is too large. Begin somewhere much quieter. Ask yourself, when I'm with this person, do I feel more like myself or less? Sometimes, that single question doesn't end a relationship. Sometimes it saves one, and sometimes it quietly saves the person you almost forgot to protect.